Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the January 12th, 2026 Board of Trustee meetings for the Village of Tuckahoe. Can we please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Camille, please call the roll.
Present.
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 Present. Moving on to appointments. Can I get a motion authorizing the appointment of Michael Shaheen as laborer for the Department of Public Works?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Okay, seeing none. Number 2, appointing Vito Catania. Can I get a motion to appoint Vito Catania to the Assessment Review Board for a term expiring December 1st, 2029?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Good. Moving on to presentation, we have the auditor's report and the village financials for fiscal year 2025. Jeff, would you like to come up, please?
I do have a PowerPoint handout.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's all right.
Jeffrey, please introduce yourself. I'm sorry that I didn't.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Jeff Shaver. I'm a partner with PKF O'Connor Davies. Happy to be here to present the results of the audit for the fiscal year ended May 31st, 2025. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the audit and then jump right into the general fund, show you the results of operations, and then talk about the fund balance. And then I will briefly go over some of the other funds that the village has. In terms of the audit, we like to discuss the difference between auditor's responsibilities and management's responsibilities. And that is what's on the first slide here, slide 3, page 3. And management is responsible for selecting and implementing appropriate accounting policies, fairly presenting the financial statements in accordance with the United States generally accepted accounting principles, establishing and maintaining effective internal controls, compliance with laws, regulations, and provisions of contracts, providing all the financial records and related information to the auditors, and setting the proper tone at the top. We as auditors are responsible primarily for delivering the independent auditor's report. We have issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That's also referred to as a clean opinion, and that's the most favorable opinion that the village can receive. What that means is the financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects. We also issue a letter to those charged with governance for auditors' required communications. Some of what I'm talking about now is in that letter. We would be required to communicate any fraud or illegal acts that were noted during the audit. I'm happy to report there were no fraud or illegal acts noted. We didn't encounter any significant difficulties during the conduct of the audit. We had no uncorrected misstatements, meaning there weren't any adjustments we felt needed to be made to the financial statements that were not made. And we didn't have any disagreements with management. I'd like to thank the treasurer and the village manager for being very cooperative and making it a smooth, easy process for us to complete this audit. Page 5 is a summary report of the general fund revenues and expenditures compared to the budget. It's a 4-column presentation. The first column is the original budget. The next column is the final budget, which would encompass any transfers or amendments made during the year. The third column is the actual revenues and expenditures. And the next column is the variance between the final budget and actual. You can see on the revenue side of the budget, it was anticipated initially that $14.8 million of revenues would be collected. That was revised upwards to $15.8 million. The actual revenues were $16,046,000, some $221,000 greater than the final budget for estimated revenues. On the expenditure side of the budget, the initial budget called for spending of $14,152,000. It was revised upwards to $15,451,000. The actual spend, $15,358,000, some $93,000 less than the final spending plan. That's a total budgetary variance, or you did better than your budget, of $314,000. However, when the budget was adopted, $100,000 of fund balance was used to balance the budget. So revenues were less than the expenditures by that $100,000. Said in another way, if you had collected every dollar in your budget as initially planned and spent every dollar, your fund balance would come down by that $100,000. But because you generated the budgetary surplus that I just mentioned, $314,000, the difference between the two becomes the actual increase to your fund balance. So that's $214,472, bringing you to ending fund balance in the general fund of $2,941,000. On page 6, I have some of the major revenue areas that the village has. I just wanted to point out on this slide where the budgetary surplus came from. It's mainly in the state aid category, and that was a budgetary surplus of $180,000. There was one grant from DEC that came in during this fiscal year related to previous years, grant that took several years to come in, and that generated the $180,000 of surplus in the state aid category. The total revenue surplus was $220,000. So the bulk of the surplus came from the state aid category. On page 7, you'll see some of the major expenditure categories that the village has. You can see in the fourth column the variance with the final budget. Again, $93,000. There's really just small expenditure surpluses spread out amongst the entire budget. No one specific area in particular. The $93,000 is really quite a small surplus for a budget of your size. It's less than 1% than the spending plan, meaning you spent more than 99% of what you anticipated to spend. And what it all boils down to is the fund balance on page 8. This is a 3-year presentation, but you can see the total fund balance in the general fund at the end of May 31st, 2025 was $2,941,000. The village has 2 categories of fund balance. There's assigned and unassigned. And in the case of the village, the assigned fund balance represents the amounts used to balance the next year's budget. So that would be the 25-26 budget, and that's $95,000. The remainder of the fund balance is what's referred to as unassigned fund balance. Also, sometimes I would call it residual fund balance, free and clear, and that's available for use at the discretion of the board. And that figure is $2,846,000. We like to show that as a percentage of your budget to give you an idea how large or how small it might be. The unassigned is a percentage of the next year's budget, 18.3%, and that has gone up over the last 3 years. At the end of 23, it was 17.1. So kind of steadily climbing in a positive direction. I'll just finish off on page 9, a brief summary of the 3 other funds that the village has. There is a capital projects fund, total fund balance in the capital projects fund, $1,179,000. Those are projects that are currently ongoing with funding sources. So those funds are restricted for those specific projects. You have a public library fund of $73,000 in fund balance at the end of the year. And the special purpose fund has fund balance of $396,000. The special purpose fund is kind of, there's several different sources, restricted revenue sources in there. Your parkland funds, 198,000, a library trust of 97,000, and some police funds of about 70,000 make up the bulk of that 396,000. Not on the PowerPoint. I just wanted to point out the amount of bonded debt outstanding the village has as of May 31st, 2025, and that figure is 5,405,000. And there were no new bonds issued during this fiscal year, just the normal pay downs as required. And that is my presentation for this evening. If anybody has any questions or comments, I'd be happy to try and answer.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions?
Actually, I do. So this fund balance, right? You said it's 18%. How does it compare to the other municipalities, and what is the right amount of fund balance that a village should have?
So in terms of the right amount of fund balance, it's impossible for anyone to answer that question. I consider that almost like a policy decision of each individual board. However, some of the things I do like to look at, the state controller has the fiscal stress monitoring, and they start taking points off or start, hitting you if you have less than 10%. So I always I've told boards when that question is asked, I kind of consider 10% to be a low amount that you probably would not want to go too much under. You could be running into cash flow issues when you get below that point. And personally, I consider, the 20% mark to be a healthy fund balance, also depending on the type of municipality it is and the needs of that specific municipality. But generally speaking, that 20% I consider to be a good, healthy fund balance figure. So you're right below that. And your fund balance has been fairly consistent over the last 3 years, just slowly increasing.
Thank you.
Anybody else? For the edification of the people out in TV world and who are here also, could you just explain a little bit about what the fund balance does and why it's so important to have a healthy fund balance?
So it's essential for any organization, not just local governments, to have excess funds on hand. It helps with cash flow. The village does have certain capital projects that are anticipated to be funded by grants. And however, they need to use some source of funding to front the money before those grant funds come back in, and fund balance can be used for that purpose. There's always, in any organization, high cash flow periods and low cash flow periods. You need to have some fund balance on hand in order to get through those short cash flow periods. And also it helps with bond ratings and such. So generally speaking, if you have higher fund balance, would equate to a higher bond rating, and that would equate to lower interest rates, which would be more favorable to the village.
Wonderful.
So all those things together, makes it important for any organization to have an adequate amount of fund balance on hand.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. Much
Thank you.
appreciated. Do we have any questions from the? Do you want to? Yep. You want to stand up and just, yep.
So, I don't have to.
Is this for me or
Yeah,
is this?
it's for you. I took.
Yeah. So why don't you come to the mic?
Oh, okay. First is, what is Tuckahoe's current bond rating, and is it good compared to our village size? And second, with everything that happened last year with the federal government taking away grants, how has the village of Tuckahoe managed with that?
The bulk of the grants, the village of Tuckahoe doesn't receive much in the way of federal grants. There's been some FEMA grants, and there was also the stimulus money that came in a few years back. That money was fully dispersed to the village and previously spent. So the impact at the federal level to the village of Tuckahoe would be relatively minor. The grants that we're referring to, that the village has fronted money for the library renovations are almost completely state grants, to my knowledge. So any issues at the federal level, hopefully would not impact the village in any way. It would impact the state and it would impact the county, but that's, a different conversation as those two, those entities receive much higher percentage of federal aid than the village of Tuckahoe and most other villages in the area. I'm embarrassed to say I don't know the answer to the first question, but maybe David may know.
Through S&P, it's a AA+.
AA+, it's
Which is the best bond rating a village of our size can get. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the second best bond rating through S&P. I don't believe a village our size would ever be able to get a AAA. I mean,
Okay.
maybe you could opine on that, but I doubt it.
I don't know if I could opine on it, but like I say, I just haven't seen it. I mean, there are a few municipalities that have the AAA. There's not a tremendous amount of municipalities that get that AAA.
Okay.
So having that, AA rating it's a strong rating. It's not just fund balance, but your strong fund balance is part of that. It's a community rating. They look at, the tax base and they look at the community and they look at other things that may not be under your direct control, but the fund balance is definitely part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to Ryan Rueda, our village treasurer, and David Burke, the village administrator, for the work that goes into this. Ryan puts a lot of time and effort, even in just the process of the audit. It's quite time consuming and, he is meticulous in his record keeping, which makes this much easier. So thank you, Ryan, and thank you, David, for all the support. It is that level of meticulous record keeping and thoughtful planning that has kept this village's finances so healthy. So thank you very much. Moving on, we're going to hear a presentation from Nick Zanzano, the village historian, on the Tuckahoe ice industry. I'm very excited.
I figured the Tuckahoe ice industry would be a perfect program for tonight. It's so warm outside. On behalf of the Tuckahoe History Committee, we'd like to wish you all a happy new year. Looking forward to working with the board again this year. And I can't wait till we get our website up and running. But let's start the Tuckahoe ice industry. It's frozen.
We're having some technical difficulties. There we go. There we go.
Okay, here we go. The Tuckahoe ice industry was a small part of something called the New England frozen water trade. And this started in 1806, right through to the early 1900s, and was a tremendously profitable business. Ice was harvested from New England lakes, rivers during the winter months and stored in insulated ice houses and used in the summer months, and also shipped to warmer climates. As you could see on the map, in the upper left, the lake is the Parkway Oval Lake. And in the 1800s, the lake encompassed almost a whole ball field right up to the railroad. And you could see adjacent to the railroad, it says National Ice House. National ice houses were located all along the railroad, going from northern Westchester right down to the Bronx. Some of those ice houses, just to show the size, the ice house that's shown near the Parkway Oval Lake was 182 feet long, 100 feet wide and 60 feet tall. That's 6 stories tall. Next. Frederick Tudor started the New England ice industry or frozen water trade back in 1806. When you look at this map, you could see the US and a star right around where New York is and New England. That's where the ice industry really started. And what they did was they would get the ice from lakes and rivers, and they would ship it up and down the East Coast on barges and schooners. But it also went to the Caribbean, South America, England, India, and Australia. It's so hard to believe that the ice from here was transported to all these locations. But we had navigable rivers where they can get the ice, and we had the resources, the railroad, especially in the mid-1800s. These are just some of the tools that we used in the ice industry. Some of them we used just to break the ice. Then in the upper right-hand corner, you could see the saws. They went through, they would cut the ice, and they cut the ice into standardized sheets. The ice had to be standardized so that they could put it on carts and into the railroad and into the ice houses. Here's a frozen lake. It could even be a river, but you could see they put wood barges on the ice, platforms on the ice, and then they would cut the ice. The men on the side are using tools that they could pick the ice up and put it onto the platforms. Here's a picture of the Hudson River, and you could see how it's frozen. The men are on the ice, they're cutting it. Sometimes the ice would be up to 18 inches thick. Now you could see the way there's like a crosshatch pattern on the ice. They would score the ice so everything was cut uniformly and it was standardized. It was really an industry by this time. In the background, you could see a larger ice house where the ice would be stored and then put onto the Harlem River Railroad and brought down to the Bronx in New York. It's very important to realize back then there was no electricity, no refrigeration. So the ice was vitally important for industry, for markets, and also for households. Here we could see the men with the saws. They would cut large blocks of it, ship it down the river or to where the ice house is on the lakes or rivers, and then it could be transported to the city. I could swear this picture is the Parkway Oval. You could see the hill. I'm investigating to see if in the upper right-hand corner, if that's Hodgman rubber. It'd be great if that's a picture because we really don't have anything from around here. But you could see how they would cut the large blocks of ice. They're put on a sleigh that's pulled by a horse, and then that would be transported to the ice house. Here's what an ice house looked like back then. The walls, the exterior walls were at least a foot thick, and they were insulated with tree bark and sawdust. Most of the ice houses would burn down, and then they rebuild it because the industry was just so needed. You could see where they would slide the ice in, slide it down to the floors, and it was a steady, solid block of ice. Each layer of ice was separated by sawdust. Here's what an ice house looks like. This is much smaller than what we had in the Parkway Oval. Here's another ice house, but this one, instead of having exterior walls made of timber, it's underground, and the earth would insulate the ice, and the ice would last in these ice houses well into the summer months. Here's ice being taken off a lake, put onto carts that are horse-driven and taken to ice houses. When we saw the second map at the beginning of the program, you could see the schooners would take the ice to all the southern ports, the Caribbean, and to Europe and onward. Here's where they were taking the ice from an ice house, sliding it down ramps. This is probably in the city area. And it would go into these schooners, and the schooners would take the ice to different ports. Before the automobile, here's how the ice was transported. The ice was such an important part of life back then. I think most people had ice boxes at that time, and they would see the iceman get 25, 50, 100-pound block of ice to put in their ice box. In the early 1900s, even though we had refrigeration, ice was still needed. Ice would still come from ice houses, but with refrigeration, at this time, they made ice themselves. Here's a real well-to-do family's ice box. Here it is. It's holding a 100-pound block of ice. You could keep your food in there. It looks like it's a well-insulated unit. A unit like this would keep the ice in the ice box cold for at least 2 to 3 days in the summer and 3 to 4 days in the wintertime. Here's what I think everybody's ice box looked at mostly. It was much smaller, not as well insulated, but the ice was on top, and the cold air would travel down to keep the food products cold. In the middle, there was a tube that went down, and they had a drip tray at the bottom, so you'd have to empty the drip tray often or wash your feet. It would get really wet. Next. This is what the ice houses finally looked like when we had electricity. They would freeze and make the ice in the ice house, and then it would be distributed to different organizations, different markets, whether it's a produce market, fish markets, meat markets. And that's the end of the program. But Tuckahoe was a very, very minute part of the ice industry, and it was such an important one. Growing up on Lake Avenue, we had a family member that was an iceman, so I've been on deliveries. That's the presentation, folks.
Thank you.
Nick, where was the ice where was it coming from? It wasn't coming from here.
The ice was coming from, the ice would freeze on the Parkway Oval Lake. That's why the lake is so much bigger in that map. And the bigger the lake, the more volume of ice they can get. And as they would take the ice from the lake, it would begin to freeze again on the far end. So it was like a continuous pattern of freeze, cut, remove, freeze, cut, and remove. And they would do this throughout the whole winter. If they had a warm winter, then they would call it an ice famine. And that affected people from the Caribbean right up to us. But most of the ice from Tuckahoe, from the Parkway Oval,
That's from here.
went to the community, and it would also go to the Bronx. And if there was enough, it would go to Manhattan.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. We have no public hearings. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes of the December 1st meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, this is the first opportunity to address the board about any agenda items. Anybody? Seeing none. Moving on to resolutions. Number 1, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with Westchester County for snow and ice, speaking of ice, snow and ice removal for a period of October 2nd, 2025 through September 30th, 2030. To just explain this briefly, there are a few roads here in Tuckahoe that are really owned by the county, but it's easier, I believe, for them to do the snow removal. We get a small fee for that, and this is the agreement that we make. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Moving on. Can I get a motion to authorize a settlement agreement and mutual release with the Biggest Fish Westchester LLC?
So moved.
Second.
Before I vote, Gary, can you just briefly explain what this is?
Yeah, of course, this is, as the board knows, we've been litigating with the Biggest Fish for a while over the Ward House. This is a comprehensive settlement between the village, our insurance carrier, and the Biggest Fish. So it closes the book and we can move on from the village's involvement in that
Obligation.
litigation.
Wonderful. Just to recap, the county purchased the Ward House. I believe that closed last month. And so we are now done with this part of the story, but of course, no good deed goes unpunished. So we are glad that it is now in county hands. Let's vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Can I get a motion to authorize a police mutual aid agreement with the town of Eastchester and the village of Scarsdale? Hold on one second. Chief, can you just speak to this briefly?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Village Board. That's an agreement that we have for extensive training amongst our officers. We have a team, it's a volunteer team, and they have to go through extensive training to get on the team. And what it does is we have a mutual aid agreement. Should we have an emergency situation here in the village, we put together our team of tactical trained officers to respond accordingly and assist one another. Usually once a month or twice a month, these officers train together. We also train with Westchester County. The team in Tuckahoe is a volunteer basis team, and the time earned, they burn back, so it doesn't cost the village any money to have this team. But where we benefit from this is these officers are trained extensively for tactical situations should they need it. History shows us we don't need it, but we have it if we need it. And why not have highly trained officers on the road learning important skills every day? So we're proud of the team. Scarsdale recently just joined the team, which is great. They're going to add 3 officers. So we work well together with them in the town of Eastchester. We look forward to the training, and it's something really great to see. The team started in 1996, right after the Michael Frey shooting in Eastchester. It's continued ever since, on a volunteer basis, and it's something that the men and women aspire to as young officers to get on the team. So it's something really great that we have working together, and we're super proud of it, and we're super proud to welcome Scarsdale on board.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief.
Sure.
Can I get a motion to authorize the police municipal aid agreement?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Good. Number 4. So we are going to be setting a public hearing for February 2nd, 2026 to consider proposed modifications to the Tuckahoe Village Code as it relates to tax exemptions for seriously disabled veterans. Trustee Gacchione, can you speak to this, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sure. So recently, the governor signed Senate Bill 1183, which allows for combat veterans who are 100% disabled, but also are what the VA calls permanently and totally disabled and unable to work, to have tax reprieve. So they won't pay any taxes for their property taxes. Now, that's what we can control here in Tuckahoe from our perspective, but you can also do this for school boards, you can do it for cities, towns, et cetera. And, while the impact may not be as big in some places or in other places, it does allow for veterans who are on essentially a fixed income to be able to get that reprieve.
Great, excellent, thank you. Can I get a motion to set the public hearing, which will start February 2nd, 2026?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Moving on. Authorizing a tax settlement with Sammy Properties for the assessment year 2025 with the street address of 93 to 95 Elm Street and 91 Lake Avenue, Section 32, Block 3, Lot 2, Section 32, Block 4, Lot 7, and Section 32, Block 4, Lot 10 in the amount of $3,813.69. So what this is this business grieved their taxes, and so this is the settlement agreement. Can I have a motion, please?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Moving on, we have to pay the bills. Authorizing the approval of vouchers in the amount of $396,000, $664.25.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, moving on to departmental reports. Chief Larry Rhoda.
Thank you again, Mayor. So I'd like to announce a new improvement with resident parking. This year, we do not need to have those annoying stickers, or shall I say, next year, you won't have to scrape off that annoying sticker. So we made a big advancement in 2025 where we moved to integrate the PD. We designed a program and implemented it with Midel technology, which is now part of many municipalities. We're going to go sticker free. And with that being said, we have technology in our parking enforcement car that we've been able to upload to a platform regarding every plate that's considered a valid resident sticker will now be with our technology. You won't have to have the sticker on your car as we drive down the street. We know that your car is a valid village resident permit. With that being said, we're about to go live in several weeks. We're going to have the link on the village website. We're just doing some final touches where really we have most of our applications in for this year unless new residents move in. However, next year we'll really benefit from a new online registration platform. So that will allow residents not have to come to Village Hall, and you could apply online. We'll never get rid of the in-person if you choose so, but if you work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 and can't get here, we're going to have a fully designed platform available to register, and that includes all the specific criteria needed to upload, kind of like a mortgage type document application where you upload all your forms. It tells you what you need, and then we would submit it. We put human eyes on it, we receive it, and then we approve it, and you'll get an email back. So it's a big step in the right direction, and it's another example of us working together with great technology. David and I have worked on it greatly with Midel Technologies, and we're happy to present it. We will be moving on to a platform to also for merchant parking as well, to have an online presence. And again, the merchant parking permits will not need to be hung in the window anymore as well. So we'll be able to drive around and know the merchant permit is actually affiliated with the plate. So, and that will also stop people from sharing permits, which are not supposed to. So we look forward to the technology. We look forward to making it work, a better experience for the residents, and something where, we're just moving along with 2026. Regarding any questions?
Thank you. Thanks,
Sure.
Chief. I think this is great. Are our surrounding municipalities kind of doing this too? Are we all kind of moving this way? Is this a trend you're seeing?
It is a trend once we've designed the platform. Other municipalities have gone onto it now. They're going to be using the same technologies. Newcastle, Bronxville, Eastchester, Pleasantville, Bedford. So they really have honed in on what we're doing here. We're more than happy to share the technology. It's a great thing, and it just makes the user experience better. It's more productive on our end and easier for the residents as well. So we're super proud of it. And again, this was done at really no cost to the village other than the equipment, which we pieced together under state contract pricing, and we're able to produce this technology at minimal cost. So, and I'd like to also thank Midel Technologies for assisting with us. These were kids that we met maybe 3-4 years ago, Mayor, just graduated out of Rutgers, and now they're big time all over the country. So, Anyways, moving on to snow zone enforcement. I just want to remind everybody, snow zone enforcement starts at the beginning of snowfall and it goes until 12 hours after the snowfall stops. If there is any question ever, just call the police desk. But usually when you see the warnings, snow's coming, plowable event, know to move the cars. The past two storms, we did pretty well. Again, we are not here to go out and harass residents with parking summonses and look forward to doing that. The reason for this is to have the streets clear, to have a safe passage for our DPW employees and also for emergency vehicles in an emergency. Again, so we appreciate the village residents abiding by this. And we don't look to go out and write tickets, but we have to write tickets to enforce the law, because if we don't enforce it, everyone will do it. And when it snows, we won't be able to move any cars. So again, these past two storms, everything seemed great. We were actually not at previous numbers of tickets issued. So people are following the laws and paying attention to the snowfall. Again, there's also no parking 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the business district. That's pretty much wherever there's a parking meter. If there's a parking meter, you can't park in the business district from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., usually actually always in the winter months, ending in March. Next month, we're going to release our annual report for 2025, which we work very hard on, especially this time of year. We're compiling all our data, all our photos, and everything we did for 2025. So we look forward to releasing that. I will tell you, the crime stats look phenomenal. Our December was phenomenal. Again, December usually is a month where it's a crime of opportunity. Holidays are around. There's a hustle and bustle. We did really, really well. If I am correct, we had 1 larceny and 1 motor vehicle theft, which is under investigation now from Marbledale Road. So I will take that any year you give me in December for crime stats like that. That is, one, a countrywide statistic that we see crime getting better countrywide. However, it's also to the hard work behind the scenes of our officers and diligent patrolling and policing of our streets to make people feel safe and be a deterrence. Again, we want them to come in here, feel safe in the village, and any criminals that want to come in here, see us and leave the village. It's very simple, right? So we're out there, we're out and about. Again, crime trends throughout the country are coming down. However, we didn't have a real crime problem in COVID. We had an increase. So we're seeing a decrease in crime from the countrywide stats, but also a decrease in crime from what we had prior. So it's looking very good. And I'm going to be happy to share the report. Also for the crime tip of the month, fraud, and fraud. Be alert for fraud. Question anything, any kind of call, any kind of email. This Thursday, we're going to try to get into the senior center, scheduling permitted, to again go over with the seniors. They are a targeted part of our community, specifically for their age group. They're in a group of people in a mass calling center, and they are literally getting called daily for scams and hacks and all different types of text messages. So what I say is educate anybody that's vulnerable or elderly that you know. Look online. We have our fraud alerts. We continuously tell the seniors about it to reiterate it. But the scams and the techniques involved are intricate, and they get better and better and better. And what we can only do to really, really combat it is public awareness. Most of these crimes and the criminals that are doing this, they're overseas. It's through hidden IP addresses, call centers that have no affiliation with the United States. So it's very difficult to track down. Every so often, we're able to solve 1 or 2 here, but most of the time, even to the point where the scam artists are picking up money, they're using Ubers, they're using ways and techniques difficult for us to crack down, solve the case, make an arrest, and get a conviction. So with that being said, public awareness is key. Question everything. Never give information out over the phone. Never give your Social Security over the phone. The IRS will never call you, and nor will Con Edison ever call you, banking call you. When in doubt, call the police. So I wanted to end with 2026. We look forward to a great year. We're working hard on scheduling right now, lots of training going forward. It's budget crunch time. We're super busy downstairs. So we're moving. You're going to see us out and about. 2026, I will say, will be a year of grants. We're going to apply for lots of grants. We like grants. And that's how we make things work here in the village on such tight budgets. We're technologically advanced. How? Through grants. And we are going to hit the grants hard this year. So thank you, board.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
By the way, Chief, there are two kinds of residents, those that take those stickers off and those that do not. And I am the one that does not. I have a collection. I wear it like a badge of honor. of
So
all
a
the
resident
years.
with 15 or more, I would like them to stop by so we could take a photo and bring that to the history committee to show in 20 years, look at
So
what
if
we
you
used to
believe
do.
you have the most number of stickers,
That's right.
we want to hear from you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. Superintendent of DPW, Frank DeMarco. How are you, Frank?
Good evening, everybody. Ironically, with Nick speaking about the ice industry in Tuckahoe, I need to talk about ice and snow control in Tuckahoe. So
Really come
where there's
full
one, you
circle.
have the other. But no, we're faring well with the storms. And just to touch a little bit about what Larry was saying is that, we work so hard at DPW to clear the roads and make sure they're safe for everybody. But once we're done and, we go home to rest, we come back the following day and there is snow plowed into the street. The residents are shoveling snow into the streets. But unfortunately, it creates a dangerous situation for others that are driving, for residents, neighboring residents, because that eventually turns to ice that same evening. So I ask that please control shoveling, plowing, snow back into the streets, and just shovel the snow into a safe area in between the street and your curb and your sidewalks, and it'll make it safer for everybody. But I want to touch a little bit on the appointment of Michael Shaheen. Just want to talk a little bit about his character and about him. And there are many reasons why my Michael was rated highly and chosen for the position, not only by our committee, but from his coworkers that he's had the opportunity to work with. Michael has earned the respect of everybody at DPW based on his proven work ethics, respect for everybody. He has shown that he is highly dedicated, punctual, driven, and possesses an intrinsic people skill and willingness to take on any job assignment given to him. He has worked as a seasonal since September of 2024, and as a labor position is not a position that could be immediately filled without months of training, especially as a seasonal. But Michael wanted to take the challenges without hesitation. He immediately showed everyone how competent and driven he is and continues to work in his same level 1 year later. He has worked in both highway and sanitation departments, showcasing many of his skills and willingness to continue learning. And for this reason, I think that Michael will be a big asset to the village of Tuckahoe moving forward. That's all I really have.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to give a shout out to the DPW. About 2 weeks before the holidays, we had a storm on a Sunday morning and they were out there. I was really hoping to use it as an excuse not to go to the gym, but there they were at 6 o'clock in the morning in front of, up and down the streets. So thank you. We can rely on them. I travel to other municipalities in snowstorms sometimes. And it's actually deceptive. Our streets are clear. And then you cross over into other municipalities. I won't say which ones, but you know which ones border us. And their roads are not always so clear. So thank you, Frank, and thank you to the men that you work with. They are really spectacular. Okay. Giovanna Fiorino Iannucci, Library Director, our new Library Director, folks. Welcome.
Yanache.
That's
That's okay.
I apologize.
It's a difficult name.
Yeah.
It's a difficult name.
Yanache.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'd like to start off by announcing the good news that Tuckahoe Public Library has been awarded $108,000 in state aid for library construction to help replace the blower unit and install new piping and ductwork that will integrate with our existing HVAC system. These funds come from the $44 million in capital funds for public library construction and broadband infrastructure projects provided in the fiscal year 2024-2025 New York State budget. We are extremely grateful to Senator Shelley Mayer for making this grant possible. Among our program highlights this month, we are offering a series of ESOL classes, that's English for Speakers of Other Languages, for adults, and a beginner's Spanish course every Wednesday in the library. We have Friday morning yoga in the community center, which started weekly again, along with Tai Chi every other Tuesday, also in the morning at 9 a.m. We have Tibetan sound healing this month. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. It is very soothing and meditative. And that's on Wednesday, January 28th at 4 p.m. The library has introduced more weekend programs. This has been a request from our patrons. So we have, among others, Possum Paws with therapy dog Lucy, which is being offered for ages 1 through 8. We have Stage Struck, an acting adventure for kids for ages 8 through 12, and painting workshops for both teens and adults in the afternoon. The library is also participating in Project Linus and will be creating blankets from hand-knit squares to be distributed to families in need. So anyone can contribute a square or two or more, a dozen, however many you want. Our resident knitters will then piece the squares together to make blankets. And this will be a project that will continue throughout the year. If you don't know how to knit or crochet, you can also come to the library. We're offering a beginner's knitting and crochet. I think that's Friday, January 30th in the afternoon at 3:30. I'll be teaching that along with our children's librarian, Florence. So information about all of our current and upcoming programs are available on the library's website. If you prefer a printed calendar, you can also stop by the library and we will provide that for you. But we do have one printed calendar for adult programs and another for children's and teens. All of Tuckahoe Library card holders can borrow items from our Library of Things, which I'm not sure if everyone knows what that is, but basically you can borrow a Roku stick, a mobile hotspot, a Chromebook, laptop, Storytime backpacks, and even ukuleles. And this is, the Library of Things is sponsored in large part by the Community Fund. So please reach out if you have any ideas for programs or even suggestions for the Library of Things. We're always happy to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Camille? No report. Thank you. Gary? David?
Just a couple of quick items. Obviously, we went over the audit today. We are definitely proud of that, but I know that you kind of gave Ryan a shout out, but I want to do that publicly as well. Our treasury team is really a one-person show. And when the auditors come in here for the pre-audit, the audit, follow-up, all this kind of stuff in regards to the paperwork, it takes a lot of time. So I just want to give him a big thank you for kind of coordinating all that and doing all that. Welcome to Michael for the Public Works Department. Looking forward to working with him. And just want everyone to know, to the right of me sits Andrew Coleman. He is going to be working out of my office. So I want everyone to kind of get to know him because you will see his face. Andrew comes to us from the Albany Ways and Means Committee for the last 3 years. So we've stolen him from Albany and back to local government where he probably should be.
Yes.
He's working on his Master's of Public Administration through Marist College right now. And we look forward to kind of supporting him in that and working with him over the next several years.
Welcome, Andrew.
You're welcome.
All right. Miscellaneous business. The next village board work session will be Thursday, January 29th at 7 p.m. and the next village board meeting Monday, February 2nd at 7 p.m. Moving on to trustee reports. Trustee DeReese.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to start with the Tuckahoe seniors. Right before the holiday break, the seniors had a wonderful celebration with great food and lots of dancing and merriment in general, including an elf on the shelf, a real life-size elf on the shelf, one of the seniors. It was a really fun night or afternoon. And we'd like to thank Roma's for sponsoring the food for that event. It was really delicious, and we're really appreciative of them donating that to the seniors. The seniors have a full calendar as usual for the month of January. They are back in session as of last week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at Father Fottle Hall. All their usual exercise with Evie, chair tap, yoga, art, all the things that they do, and bingo on January 29th. For beautification, thank you to them for the beautiful holiday wreaths that were around in the village in November and December. We really appreciate them creating that atmosphere here, and to the DPW for getting them up and making our village look beautiful for the holidays. And lastly, for the Chamber of Commerce, the next meeting is on January 21st at Jack's Restaurant. We really encourage any of the business owners within the village to join the chamber, looking for support within their businesses and networking with other local business owners. That's it.
Trustee Goindi?
Thank you. Good evening. I'll start with the Environmental Committee. Riverkeeper Sweep has been announced. It's on May 2nd. It's a ways off, but for those of you who don't know, that's when we all go and clean the river. We meet at Parkway Oval. It's a fun event. Families are there, kids, invaders going and cleaning up the river. So you can, collect the garbage, and the one who collects the most wins a prize. Community garden application are going to be open in April. This was something we started last year, and it was a hit. All the plots have been taken. So if you want one, please apply early. And the next environmental committee meeting is January 20th. Moving on to news from Eastchester School. This is actually a couple of parents have asked me this, so I just wanted to announce it here. Kids who are taking advanced placement, even if you're not enrolled in Eastchester School, you can still take it at Eastchester High School. So it's a thing that the school offers, and parents should try to take advantage of it. On Friday, January 30th, Harlem Wizards are going to be here in Eastchester. They do it every year, and it's a fun to watch teachers playing with them and generally losing. And lastly, next weekend, Eastchester Middle School Players Club are doing a production of Newsies. It's a musical. The kids really work hard and they do a really good job. So I would recommend you all go and watch the show, and especially since my daughter is going to be playing a role in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Gaccione?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to say thank you again to Nick Zanzano of the History Committee for his presentation tonight. They are always diligently working here on Wednesdays from 9:30 to 12. And if you want to join them, they welcome any assistance that you can provide. They'll give you something to do if you show up, I promise. I didn't see anything for Historical Preservation Commission.
No, we haven't set
Schedule.
that meeting yet.
Perfect, good. So I didn't miss anything.
You
So
did
we're
not.
good. Thank you, sir. The Zoning Board Committee, the Zoning Board meets this Wednesday, the work session at 7:15 and the meeting at 7:30. There's still a public hearing open. We'll have more to report on that next month. If you have any questions about the Veterans Disability Rating or the law that was passed here in New York State, in my other life, I work with veterans 9 to 5 and beyond, so I can explain it in more detail if anybody has any questions, and I'm happy to do that. And lastly, just because Harmeet gave a shout out, the Young Marines had their midwinter field training exercise this past week, the Rivertown Young Marines. My son, Thaddeus Gaccione, is a private first class, and they were up at the Blue River Mountain and had a great little adventure up there. So I want to thank the Rivertown Young Marines for that.
Hoorah. Thank you, Trustee Gaccione. Deputy Mayor Taylor, thank you. I got it.
All right. Mentioning Nick Zanzano's presentation, I am old enough to remember a ice box where we had blocks of ice, if you can believe that or not. The Tuckahoe Housing Authority, Irina Matvitsky officially retired on 12/19/2025. The search committee has identified and is vetting top candidates for the executive director position. The Tuckahoe Housing Authority Board, in collaboration with HUD, is taking the necessary protocols to keep the Housing Authority property operating properly until the new executive director is hired. The Eastchester Community Action Partnership ECAP's food pantry is still the first Wednesday of every month, and emergency food is available Monday through Friday. And the 38th annual MLK breakfast will be on next Monday, the 19th, at the Reformed Church in Bronxville. This is ECAP's major fundraiser for the year, so they really need all the support they can get. You can pay for a ticket at the ECAP location, which is located on 142 Main Street, or you can pay at the door the morning of the breakfast. The price of a ticket is $45, and the price of a table of 8 is $350. Our former mayor, Omira Andino, is one of this year's honorees. For more information on the breakfast, you can contact Denise Chen at ECAP 914-337-7768. The breakfast is always a very good event, and it is important to keep Martin Luther King's history alive. Somebody that made the ultimate sacrifice. This man literally paid with his life for this country and to uplift people and affect positive change in their lives. So I hope to see you there.
Deputy Mayor. So as you may be aware, as you hear our trustee liaison reports, every year we assign liaisonships to the different trustees. Just to give you an idea, Deputy Mayor Taylor will be the liaison to the Tuckahoe Housing Authority, ECAP, and the Tuckahoe Schools. Trustee Gacchione is the Veterans, the Zoning Board, the Historic Landmark Preservation Committee, the History Committee, and EVAC. He's a busy man. Trustee DeReese, the Tuckahoe Seniors, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Beautification Committee. And Trustee Goindi, the Tuckahoe Environmental Sustainability Committee, Eastchester Schools, and the Planning Board, and probably sign and awning. I will be the liaison to the community center and the library, and I'm excited to learn more about the library in this role. So if you have a specific question about one of these things, you can really reach out to any of us, but just know that there are people who act as liaisons and they may be able to provide you the best information. I also want everyone to know that we encourage and have every one of the trustees do 2 hours of office hours every week. And so these are hours that we are here and available to the community, and you can walk in and kind of have a conversation with any one of us. And if we can't get you an answer immediately, we will get you an answer. So we want to make sure that we are accessible to the community. One of us is here every day. I am personally here on Thursdays from 3 to 5 p.m. and then Fridays, but I'm also here by appointment. So if you'd like to see me, by all means, just reach out. And if you'd like to talk to any one of these trustees, they are on social media. You can contact them via the village website. So there are lots of opportunities to talk to your board. We are here to serve you. I want to reiterate and just kind of echo the importance of the MLK breakfast for ECAP. ECAP is our lifeline in the village for families who really may need extra help and assistance. They don't do a lot of fundraising. They are not asking for money very often. A lot of their money comes from federal grants, and those grants are now in question. As a result, please make it, if you can, to the MLK breakfast. $45 may be nothing to some of us, but it may be a lot for them. Martin Luther King, again, did so much for our nation and us as a whole community. And Martin Luther King Day is considered a day of service. So if you are not going to the board, to the MLK breakfast, or even if you are, maybe it is a good opportunity for you to do something for the community and participate in something for the community. Yeah, and please donate. If you can't come, please donate. Speaking of service, as a segue, we are looking for volunteers. So like I have often said, we are looking for volunteers for our different boards and committees. Right now, we are focused on the Tuckahoe Road Race Challenge. That will take place on October 4th, the Sunday. And that team is led by Claudia DeMeo Francis this year, but we do need more bodies. We need more help. This is a very important event because the road race often raises tens of thousands of dollars for different either community programs or incentive initiatives within the village. So if you would like to get involved, and this is something that you don't have to be a runner, you could be a planner, you could be a mailer, a person who likes to sit at a table and check people in. It can be any one of your skills. So if you are interested, please reach out to me or Claudia DeMeo Francis, and they will start planning for the road race. It's a lot of planning. So they're going to start planning next month. So, and to finalize, I just want to send our regards to the family of Marie Aliberto and Concetto Arrigo, who passed away earlier this year. And with that, that is the end of my report. And this brings us to the second and last opportunity to address the board. No, absolutely. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I would be remiss if I didn't say on MLK Day of Service, if you are looking for something to do and to volunteer, you can go to the Volunteer New York website, and there are plenty of opportunities to volunteer there.
Wonderful.
I got one
Nice.
more before we go to that too.
Yep.
In the vein of requesting volunteers, the Friends of the Tuckahoe Library is also looking for people to get involved in helping support the library. It is a committee that helps with fiscal support, with supporting the summer reading programs and the museum passes and other projects that the library tends to need. So if you are interested in getting more involved in the library, that would be great. And lastly, since we were also celebrating some local stuff, a big shout out to the Eastchester Stars and Stripes and Eastchester Blue Devils cheerleading squads, which includes a lot of our Tuckahoe young girls as well, who swept first and second in the Mount Vernon cheer competition this week.
Bravo. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Did anyone want to
Oh.
speak? Did you have your hand up? Come on up. I apologize. My apologies.
It's okay.
You got to-
Hello, my name is Sam. I'm 72 Main Street. We have a new year, and I want to say that the most important thing that anybody in government can do is to improve the material conditions for the people and to build infrastructure that will, outlive them for generations. What you're doing with the library is part of that infrastructure, but there are other ways to improve and build upon that infrastructure. Also, I don't know if anybody heard, but within, I think, the first week of Zoran Mamdani's mayorship, he actually got universal childcare, not for just New York City, but I think the entire state. So if you're not aware, New York State will now have a fully funded universal childcare system. So if you have any kids or whatever, you can apply for that. It works for everybody, regardless of income or your demographics, and it's great. And I just want to say thank you to everybody in the team for just making Tuckahoe such a great and safe and welcoming place for everybody to live, again, regardless of demographics. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There we go. Have a great night, Tuckahoe. See you next week.
Thank you, Lord.
Month.